In the meta with tier combos, powerful engines and well-known combos, there are some players that don't follow the script. Today I want to show you some of the winning decks that player with most of the knowledge are able to play and succeed in the current meta, the Rouge Decks. Today I want to show you 5 Rouge Decks that are really good in the current meta and should be played by good players. In the right hands they are really strong. Today we're talking Kashtira, Fire King, Centurion, MitsuRui and Gravekeeper. Each of these archetypes has a real win condition, real matchups and most importantly, real rewards for skilled players. We're talking surely now about Kashtira. With the loss of Kashtira Rise Hard, the deck doesn't autopilot anymore. Every summon, every search, every decision matters. Kashtira Fenrir is one of the best players in the game and is easy searchable and makes every decision hard to audit efficiently. Unicorn still gives the unfair information success, where you can search the extra deck of your opponent and banish cards face down. And the likely Scareclaw or tech cards like Book of Moon are adaptable to most threats like Snake Eye or Chimera. So wide reward skill. You're not relying on flowchart combos. You're making micro decisions around the tempo and control, and the side deck's decisions become pivotal. Best matchups: combo heavy decks, weak early interaction, like Monodium or Rescue Ace, and weaknesses decks that ignores monsters, like Labyrinth and Stun decks. Fire King is always one of the game makers since it came out in the structure deck, and now it finally got the tools to compete. The King's plans are all around destruction. They want to blow up their own cards, nuke the field and revive itself and make the game revival again. They have a huge consistency and is very rewarding for players in the meta. Arvata is your interruption. It negates popping monsters. Grunwix is a reviving phoenix and is your contagion and revives every turn and nukes the board. Trade resources, interrupt chains and win through attrition. So why it's rewarding? You're making always the cost-benefit decisions. What do I pop and when do I float? Looping Grogonix while it's managing your board is balancing art. So the deck can recover from board wipes, and its weaknesses are hard floodgates like anti-spell, skill drain. Centurion is a thinking duelist deck. It's built about trapped recursion, quick play interactions and tempo control. The main gimmick: they cheat around monsters on quick spells and traps that activate on hand and in hand or grave. The tempo is in its purest form. So stand up Centurion. It revives bodies mid-turn. Charge of the Centurion adds pressure. And once it hits your boss monsters, it's locked you out of your sequencing windows. It's very difficult. So it also has a modular nature. You can play it pure or blended with Dogmatica, Eldritch or Runic. So why it works in the meta. It punishes decks that can't OTK through traps, sets up unbreakable boards in 2 to 3 turns, and abuses slower games where back row are underplayed. So why it's rewarding? You need to sequence the traps correctly and across multiple turns. You're often setting up checkmate states in advance. Deep side deck theory, most players aren't siding correctly for it. So what the deck's best matchups? Decks that need uninterrupted combo lines, that are the biggest weaknesses when you play against Fire King. And blowout weaknesses are blowout cards, like Evenly Match and Cosmic Cyclone. And of course, going second. MitsuRui, a counter-heavy engine deck. It's probably the most anti-fusion deck I've seen in the current meta right now. It's hand trap resistant, reactive to engine decks, and built around Mitsu and Insect and Rui Heavenly Springs. The beauty of this deck is in layers. You're setting up big fields, you're creating a state where every play your opponent makes has a consequence. Mitsu can dodge disruption, Rui can negate extra deck summons while committing resources. And paired with tech cards or tuners, you start grinding your opponent down while denying their end boards. So why it works in the meta? Top decks want to go uninterrupted. This deck interrupts on their timing. Doesn't care about board wipes and it doesn't build one. Extremely efficient cards. So why it's rewarding? You need perfect timing and chain discipline. While this isn't about overwhelming, it's about outlasting. Forces your opponent into bad lines through soft pressure. Best matchups. High commitment to combo decks like Chimera and Maladium. Weaknesses deck that plays around wide, like Labyrinth and Runic variants. Now we're talking about Gravekeepers. Gravekeepers are back again with Necrovalley. Necrovalley punishes every graveyard plays that made in the meta right now, like Snake Eyes, Chimera, or other decks like Fiendsmith. So what does Necrovalley really do? It stops you from playing graveyard games and playing graveyard plays. And most players don't main anymore in the side deck or in the main deck cards against Necrovalley. And that's a mistake. It works in the meta. Snake Eye, Chimera, and other decks has a hard time getting around Necrovalley. Fusion plays give its vertical pressure, and stun plus recursion equals death. So why it's rewarding? You must know the meta side and pilot it properly. You will win not just from plays, but from preparation. Every decision matters. Set the rotation, targets, field sequencing, etc. So you have to play really good, and in the right hands this deck becomes a masterpiece. So best matchups are grave heavy decks. that are really common in the current meta right now. And weaknesses are decks that don't care about the graveyard, like Labyrinth or Flu on the Ease. But if you try it, if you're tired of mirror matches in the current meta, or just want to go another route with your decks, then the Rogue decks are your choice. So the Kashtira makes you think turns ahead. Fire King makes you play risk and reward. Centurion teaches tempo. MitsuRui reactive mastery. And Gravekeepers punishes the unaware. And that's the truth about the Rogue decks. They're not worse, they're just harder to pilot and harder to prepare for. So let me know which of this full breakdown combo or tutorial or what you want to see next. And this is Ravi Nasser's channel signing off, but the Rogue grind never stops.